Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Red Reads. I'm your host, Mystery Red, and this is my disclaimer. This beta read and conquered is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. Today we are looking at a piece of original fiction. We are back with Dontrike, looking at No Name Shattered. We are on Chapter 2, Part 5, and this is read number 8. If you're new here, welcome. Please like, subscribe, or comment on a video. I do beta read and conquers in video format, so you can experience hearing your story read out loud and read a reaction. This combination provides a beta read in a truly unique format. I do both public and private videos. If you think you might be interested in a read but don't want it to be public, fear not, I do offer private reads. First chapters are free. I do have a playlist for all of my public read repeat authors, so you can go back and follow a story from the beginning. Now, business aside, let's get back into No Name Shattered. The mid-afternoon sun shined through a window in the castle's library. Rows upon rows of perfectly categorized bookcases filled the room. Every shelf couldn't fit a slip of paper, let alone another book. Particles of dust hung in beams of light shining down on leather-covered books piled on top of one another on a table. Each thick as an arm, all on the topic of the moon, the majority referencing Queen Alana, these texts far older than those not mentioning her. Next to the stack was a small plate with a cube of cheese and the browning core of an apple. The table was littered with empty glasses, each with a ring of condensation at their bottom and the scent of alcohol. Okay, I'm pausing for a second. So I love this setup. I've got a beautiful visual here, very nice opening. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed you like kind of setting the scene here. I kind of wondered, the table was littered with empty glasses, each with a ring of condensation at their bottom and the scent of alcohol. Okay, so this felt a bit extra to me, and I think you could omit it. And you have such a lovely opening here. You've set your scene so well that I kind of don't want this to be there. I don't want any detraction from what you've already got. And I know that you're also looking to cut words. So with that in my pocket, I'm looking for an opportunity, and I think that you're not going to miss this part right here. Okay. Now, if it's important that it be known that the characters might be intoxicated, we can show that in other ways and slip that in there. With the littering of glasses, if we started noticing that, it would make perfect sense. So you've already kind of set the tone for it without saying it. I just don't think we need it. Okay, let's just keep going. I'm gonna pause for a second. My ADHD is really bad this morning. I've just gotten back from spring break. My city was flooded. We were very, very fortunate, and we escaped the damage of it. And I finally got everybody off to school and to their respective daycares, and I am ready to sit down and read, and my brain is gone all over the place. So it's going to take me a minute to warm up. I'm going to get it. We're going to find our groove. And I've got to get it. I've just got to make myself do it. I want to read, and I'm excited to read, and I've got a lot to read today, but my brain is just not, it's all over the place. So this should be a really interesting read with whatever comes out of my mouth is going to be wow to both of us. So let's find out what that means. What is that going to look like? This should be interesting. So that's just my secondary disclaimer of I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. Let's find out. Not just in the story, but with me as a reader. Okay, we're gonna get back into paragraph 2. The only space that was not taken up by books. The only space not occupied or consumed. Let's see. And if we rework this just a little bit, you might be able to trim a word or two here or there. And if we trim words or two here or there, they do add up. The only space unoccupied by books or empty glasses was the open text currently being read by Charlotte. Let's think about this sentence for a second. Okay, so I have a little suggestion for the sentence. And I kind of still could fool around more with the ending, but in the interest of trying to keep myself focused, I stopped myself. What do you think of the only space unoccupied by books and empty glasses was the open text Charlotte read from? So we're going to go with that as my suggestion. I'm going to say musings and video here. I do believe I am in suggesting mode. I'm just going to double check that really quick. We're good. With a turn of a page, she placed her fingers on the next, readying to turn it. So we've got turn, kind of got an echo on that. I think you could do better. Let's see. With a turn of a page, she placed her fingers on the next, her eyes following the text on yet another story, telling of Alana and the moon. How when she descended, no one was sure how, the only evidence being that of a globe of dark magic that revealed her, as if she had awakened from a cocoon. Charlotte turned the page. This doesn't help. Penny, Charlotte yelled out. Moments later, a teenage girl with straight, knee-length blonde hair, wearing thick glasses, one of her eyes being a milky white, the other a dark green. Okay, so what did she do? So this sentence reads as like an incomplete thought. I am under the impression, by deduction, that this girl is Penny, okay, and she has arrived or fluttered into the room or something, but I don't know because you didn't tell me that part. You gave me a detailed breakdown of what she looks like, but you didn't actually say she entered the room, that she popped out of a closet, she popped out from behind a curtain, came scampering into the room at Charlotte's bidding. We don't have an actual action. We have a description. So I'm going to say musings in video there. Also, I'm going to note that, and I think we talked about this like back in chapter 1, where when we introduce a new character, we don't have to give a complete detailed breakdown of what they look like and what they're wearing. We can work those details in as your character whose point of view you're in observes them. They might notice or have a thought about the appearance of the other character, and then it works in more naturally than if you give a kind of I don't want to call it an info dump because I hate the way that sounds, but it's kind of what it is. You're cramming in all in there really quick, this detailed, and it's very telling. It reads as telling. So I'm going to suggest that you come back and look at this and kind of rework this sentence into something a little more natural. To help you do that, just visualize Penny entering the room. Visualize Charlotte reading the book and calling for Penny, and Penny scampering into the room, floating in. I don't know the character, so I don't know how she moves, but you can start to show the character right away by what type of action. Is this a slow girl? Is she a fast girl? Is she a smart girl? I don't know anything about her, but you can use her, the way that she moves, to help support in building her character. Okay, so I've got all my musings on that, and we're just going to keep rolling along. You called, princess? She bowed, standing up. She corrected her glasses that had slid down the bridge of her nose. Do we have anything on the history of the moon that predates Alana's imprisonment? These are not giving me the information I need. Ignoring the alcohol polluting Charlotte's breath, Penny thought on it, putting a finger to her chin. I'm going to point out to you that you did just switch points of view. So we had like this setting, this opening here that kind of draws us into the space and paints the image of the room. And then we start with the next paragraph, and I kind of think we're with Charlotte because she's reading, okay? But I also am kind of thinking now that we were still getting the scene set up, and then it began. We have just switched points of view to Penny right here, okay? So because Charlotte was the first character we had an action from and who was in the room, my reader brain immediately connected with Charlotte. And then as we go down, now we are in Penny's point of view, and I can say that firmly because Penny is ignoring the alcohol polluting Charlotte's breath. By the way, I remember me saying back in the opening paragraph there that you didn't need that last line. You'd be able to show it or bring it up somewhere else. Here you did. So you definitely don't need that line up there. You've got it in here. Ignoring the alcohol polluting Charlotte's breath, Penny thought on it, putting a finger to her chin. So I'm just going to say I'm using some video about the point of view thing and the observation that you did have the opportunity later to support the conglomerate of glasses, of empty glasses. And now we know what that Charlotte was drinking without you having to tell us up there. Okay, let me get back into this. So she's thought on it. She's putting a finger to her chin. Not to my knowledge, but I could try looking. Most books about the moon are usually on the queens, with the focus being Queen Alana's imprisonment and escape, magic, and how some believe the moon affects certain elements, astronomy, astrology, and how to read the moon and stars, or folk tales. If it is history you were looking for regarding the moon, there really isn't anything of note. Based on my reading of one book we got recently, King Domir used to believe the moon a god and sacrifice people to it. As you know, the phenomena of Charlotte perked up, hearing about the previous king. Wait, say that again? About King Domir? He believed the moon to be a god and sacrificed people to it? Yes, that. Excuse me for questioning you, Princess, but I thought you already knew that. Weren't you part of the team that recorded as much information as possible from Queen Clara, including Domir's time? Charlotte's face turned red and chuckled nervously. Okay, and she chuckled nervously. Okay, because you're looking to clip, all right, because you're looking to trim, I'm going to suggest you just trim this. I don't think you need it. We don't want the adverb, and the chuckling feels extra. Charlotte's face turning red shows her embarrassment, and we can roll with that. Okay. Let's see. Charlotte's face turned red. I keep wanting to say Charlotte's face reddened, which also would trim another word down if you like that. Oh yeah, that's right. I must have forgotten. This entire moon business filling my head is, yeah, it's suggesting the same thing I was going to suggest. I'm going to type it in there because if I accept its suggestion, it'll put a big old mess all over that. Mine's much neater. Okay, the entire moon business is filling my head, and I haven't read those texts myself. And the older ones, I mean. I always meant to get around to those, but Princess, do you require some tea or water? You have drank quite a bit since you arrived, and I don't know that we get the period there. I think we just leave that kind of hanging. That's not, Charlotte snapped, startling Penny. Seeing the librarian react, Charlotte breathed slowly. Okay, so pausing. Okay, so now we're switching points of view back to Charlotte because she's observing Penny. So we have a point of view switch again. I'm just going to point that out to you. And it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It means I'm observing it. And if it's intentional and you're omniscient, then we roll with it, okay? It's a choice. I've had lots of talk about it. I'm just going to point it out for your sake to make you aware. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's an observation, okay? Because it's author's choice. I will say if I get confused by it, I will note that, okay? I'm not confused. I'm able to follow along here, so I want you to know that as well. I'm just making an observation. Okay, so, all right, Charlotte snapped, startling Penny. Seeing the librarian react, Charlotte breathed slowly. That won't be necessary, Penny. Thank you. I'm as sharp as ever, I assure you. I would like to see this book. Yes, of course, Princess. The library only asks that you wear special gloves when handling it. It is near 1,000 years old. Penny reached into the large pocket of the apron, taking out a pair of white cotton gloves and handing them to Charlotte. The princess put them on as the young librarian guided her to the back through a door behind the main counter. Inside was itself a miniature library, smelling of stagnant air and aged leather. Small shelves held books in far worse condition. At the center of the room, on top of a stone pedestal underneath a white crystal shining a dim light, was a large tome. Already opened, it contained hundreds of pages, with the majority on the right side. Next to it, a small table with paper piled on top, inkwell pens and ink stains decorated its surface. Let's see. Okay. The edges of the book were copper, now green from oxidation. The dark leather of the cover cracked around the edges. We've got an echo on edges. Let me just highlight that for you, and you know what to do with it. The pages gave more the impression of a leaf. The pages gave more the impression of a leaf during fall than actual paper, so brittle that Charlotte feared staring at it might cause them to disintegrate. Yeah, it's suggesting the same thing I am. There we go. Charlotte was awestruck. Magnificent was the only word she could express as she leaned around the book, looking at every inch she could without touching the massive text. Do you know what they have been able to glean from this? Charlotte asked. Okay, so we kind of have Charlotte twice. We have Charlotte's awestruck. We have her, her little text, and I'm rolling with that. I kind of think that we could omit this because we know that it's Charlotte speaking because we're still with Charlotte in the paragraph, and she's already spoken. So I think you can trim that. Oh, they don't tell us that. But what I have read has been fairly interesting, at least when the book is open. In my studies, I've been learning to read Dominion. You've only read what it's open to? Charlotte looked at Penny from the edge of the pedestal. I bet she's scared to touch it. And here she is. I dare not touch it. I'd be worried about touching it too. I would definitely want the information from it, and it would be an interesting read. But I'd be terrified it would just fall apart, just crumble. And I wouldn't want that on my head. Okay, I gotta focus. I gotta stay focused. Okay. Correct. I dare not touch it. If anything happened to it, I'd get kicked out of here faster than an angel at a marathon. Penny snorted a laugh. No, I only read what it's open to, or any translations they leave behind. She pointed to the ink-stained table nearby. Okay, so who is that they leave behind? So does that mean someone comes in and someone does turn the pages on it, and she's just going in and reading and hoping that someone's turned a page so that she can read more, right? Okay, just those are reader thoughts. Reader thoughts. Okay. Understandable. I barely want to touch it myself. It's in surprisingly good condition for its age, though current circumstances dictate that I have to try my best to look into this current mystery. Right, the moon. I was asleep when it happened. Is it true that it was beings from space that are here to steal our children? Penny asked. Charlotte burst into laughter. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. Okay, so because we've got Penny asking, we know that she's laughing at her. I kind of am inclined to suggest you omit her name from here. I've talked briefly in some of my other videos about overuse of names in dialogue. I do it, I did it, sometimes I still do it, and I go back and it's one of those things on my little checklist when I'm polishing up a manuscript. I will go back and look to make sure that I have used a person's name reasonably. Like, if I was talking to this person, am I really going to say their name every other sentence? You're not doing that here. It's just an opportunity. It was an example opportunity to come up and mention. And I'm just suggesting that you don't actually need it here, because I'm thinking when they're talking, she might. It can also depend on how formally they speak. So it's probably a personal opinion. I'm just going to say musings in video. But you are looking to trim, and so when you're looking to trim, if you trim here and there, it really helps later when you have to make bigger cuts because in your edit trimming you didn't trim enough. Okay, so you could be a little generous with your edit clipping to save you heartbreak later from some words you like better. Does that make sense? Okay. Charlotte burst into laughter. I'm sorry, Penny. I'm not laughing at you. I can assure you that's not true. Alana is currently looking for more information. She will brief the kingdom when she returns. Where did you hear a thing like that? My father. He heard it from a sailor who heard it from a friend who saw it last night. Ah, that's where the confusion is. You can tell him the princess said there are no space creatures abducting children. I can guarantee that much. Penny breathed easy. That's such a relief. Though I'm sure my father will still believe space creatures. Believe in space creatures? Okay, so it wants to say believe in space creatures. I think based on the text that you want it to say believe it was space creatures. So I'm just going to highlight this little part right here. Believe it was space creatures. That's what I think you meant more than believe in. Like, I'm sure he believes in them because he thinks it was them, but I think either one works. But I think in the way that the pre-context is, I can't think you wanted it to be believe it was. He's still going to believe it was space creatures. We're going to keep going. With any luck, the Queen's words should sway him about how silly that is. Oh, I'm sure it will. In fact, the sound of a bell came from behind the door. That must be another seeker of knowledge. If you'll excuse me, Princess. Penny bowed. Charlotte waited for the door to shut. All right, you thick son of a bitch. It's just you and me. Tell me your secrets. The cover creaked as she closed the front gently, only to reopen it. Slowly, she turned the very first page, her eyes darting along with the words. Her quick reading slowed with every page. Slowed. Okay, so we've we've got page and page. I don't suggest we have, yeah, we're going to have a lot of pages. Hang on a second. There we go. I can see it. How many times is it going to pop up in here? It's a lot. So I would probably look at that. I'm going to read it the way you have it. You know what to do here. If we catch more, we'll highlight them. I'm not even looking at prior things, but at this moment I started to kind of feel like it was going to keep popping up, and it did. 4 times is a lot in a paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and read it the way you have it, and we'll see what happens. At least I've made you aware of it. Okay? Let's see. Slowly, she turned the very first page, her eyes darting along with the words. Her quick reading slowed with every page forced to turn each page slowly to prevent damage to the antique passages. This did not halt her joy of reading. In fact, the anticipation of what was next only heightened it. She stood content to read while methodically turning each page, looking for anything she could learn about the moon and this god. Okay, so I do like what this says. I like how she savors the process. If you can reword it just a little bit to omit so that you have 1 page and not 4 pages in the paragraph, because that does detract. You also have an adverb that popped up a couple of times in the same paragraph. So I'm going to point that out to you. But I like that she's like enjoying reading the book. She's kind of savoring it a little bit. She's thirsty for it, but she's also kind of taking her, like, excited to keep going. So she's kind of enjoying this, and I like that. Yeah, so I do like what this says. Okay. I'm also wondering what it says and if any of that's going to be revealed to us. Because right now, we don't have Charlotte's internal thought about what she's reading and how it makes her feel, the information she's digesting. We just know that she likes reading it. Nearly at the end of the Titanic tome, Charlotte's attention broke, hearing louder voices than what was usually allowed in a library. She grumbled, returning to her reading. Moments later, it continued, increasing in volume. All right, what do you people not get by being quiet in a library? She yelled, opening the door. Okay, so you've got Charlotte here and Charlotte here. I'm going to suggest you swap this out for a she. And you might want to do a skim on the names, like a reading pass on the names, and keep in mind, if you could use she or her here and there, if you feel like you're using it a lot. But I wanted that to be she yelled, opening the door. Would you people be... She found William, her bodyguard, and Captains Manty and Marigold at the front of the desk as Penny stood in a doorway. A shush came from other patrons in the library. Princess! All 3 spoke. What's going on? Charlotte asked. Your Highness, William began. I think it might be... I think it's Monty. I think it's pronounced Monty. I'm going to try to not let my brain stop and get hung up on that, because we could just do that all day long. It could be Manty, it could be Monty. Your Highness, William began. Monty and Marigold have... Again, I'm not really sure. Are we supposed to have periods there? It's not flagging it from Grammarly, so maybe we are, but to me, when we have this little, is it M dash or N dash? I get the 2 of them confused, okay? I get the 2 names confused. Even if I use them correctly, I get the names of them flip-flopped. So usually when I use them, I don't have a period after them, but I'm guessing probably have to look into that. I am not going to go down that rabbit hole. My brain will get hung up on it. We'll be lost for the next 6 minutes that we have with me researching something. And that's how bad my ADHD is this morning. So I'm going to try to keep focused, and we're just going to keep reading our text. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's Captain to you, wuss, Marigold interjected. William rolled his eyes, sighing. That's not important right now. Captains Marigold and Monty have returned to give their reports. Okay, so why have you brought them here? Give them to Alana. Charlotte tried to pass off the responsibility, turning her back. Your Majesty, we would, Monty spoke. But William has told us that the Queen has yet to return from her own investigation. She should return before tonight, Charlotte said. But William cleared his throat. Princess, it's currently evening now. So that tells us how absorbed Charlotte was in her reading, is that a whole day has passed as she's been soaking up this book. Okay, so that's my reader impression of that line right there. Charlotte turned her head to William, who nodded. Okay, I don't think I have to say she turned her head. Just to trim a word, turned. You trim 2 words this way. Turned to William, who nodded with a look of worry. She rushed through the library to the nearest window. The starry night sky was overhead. Small gray clouds roamed as the moon shined as bright as it could with the enormous dark hole plaguing its surface. You 3 come with me, she commanded. Penny, thank you so much for showing me that. It was a joy, she called over her shoulder as they exited the library. A lone, angry shh echoed amongst the shelves as they left. I'm still wondering, did she get any useful information from what she was reading? I know that she enjoyed it, but, did she gain anything from it? Did she have any internal thoughts about what she was reading? I know she was enjoying it. I want to know I want to know what she was reading. I want to know what she learned from it. She enjoyed it. Maybe it didn't tell her anything new or anything that she didn't know. Maybe it did. I don't know, because we don't have any internal thought that reveals any of that. Now, it could be that my author's trying to keep that in his pocket for later. I'm not sure, but at the same time, I'm craving for it. So those are all reader musings. We're going to keep going. William, are you sure the Queen has yet to return? Charlotte asked. Yes, Your Highness, William confirmed. He confirmed, because you already have her using his name here. I would just say he here. Or, I guess, yeah, because we have Monty and Marigold also in play. They haven't, yeah. So I'm trying to choose whether or not you just said, are you sure, here, and omitted his use of name. You have options. My reasoning for this one would be that for choosing he here and not omitting the here and just saying are you, is that there are 2 other characters. I think there are 2 other characters still in this play, in play here, that could possibly be, she could be talking to, but she's talking to William, so that makes sense. And then we know that she's talking to him, so we don't need to say that you can just say he confirmed, because we are expecting a response from him. Yes, Your Highness, he confirmed. I did as instructed and kept all from entering or leaving the throne room. This wuss had me and Monty waiting for hours, Marigold complained. Oh, I think we need a period right there. I'm sorry, but I can't disobey orders, Marigold. Captain, she repeated. William groaned. Captain Marigold. Marigold, that is quite enough, Monty cut in. You know full well his duties are to the princess. It's not his fault if the Queen hasn't returned. Marigold grumbled. Fine, but that doesn't mean I'm not still pissed about not getting some things done today. Like what? Haven't given out your daily... Wait. Haven't... Something's wrong right here. Or off. Let's try it again. Like what? Haven't given out your daily wusses? Monty tried, imitating her. To your troops? Let's see. So I'm kind of... Okay, that read awkwardly for me, and it's stumping my brain as to feeling like I think it's the order of the words, and I think it might be fine. It's just my brain is not perceiving them as such because it might not be the order the words are typically used in. Does that make sense? I'm not going to say anything about it. We're just going to keep going. First, that's not how I sound. Second, they need more scolding until they are the best. Finally, my errands are me getting my... And then she cut again, and I'm still thinking we don't have a period after that. I think it's like leaving them hanging. So a period's like finality, and I could be wrong. You could totally correct me. But my thought process into not having the period at the end is that a period is like, it's like tucking it in. It's like the end. Okay, it's like a complete sentence. It's complete when you have a period. But when I have this little dash at the end, and I've not finished my speaking or my thought or whatever, it's been interrupted. To me, that's incomplete, and so I don't have the period on there. That's kind of my logic when I'm doing it, and that's what's drawing me to suggest that you omit it. You may want to do some research on that. Both of you need to stop bickering and get a room already, Charlotte suggested, turning Marigold red. Captain Monty, if you could give me your report while we walk. Yes, ma'am. My soldiers and I looked through the wispy woods, but found no evidence. Even the seraphs couldn't detect any lingering magic in the area. I called for a hunter and for Miss President Geologist Victoria Moore. Charlotte rolled her eyes. She's still going by that? Better than her last one, at least. Okay, so you pulled Victoria away for this. Was there anything suspicious in the area? Yes, the end of the crash led to a boulder. Lead. It's flagging lead. Yeah, I wanted this kind of lead too. I'm going to suggest that, and it'll be neater with my version than theirs. The Queen thought it was nothing, though we found blood on it, most likely from the man that we had learned of. I wanted to be sure the stone had no significance. Makes sense. Continue. The sounds of armor and footsteps echoed throughout the halls as they walked. Miss Moore found it to be a simple boulder, although she found it filled with amethyst, which she became absolutely giddy over. Her words, not mine, he clarified. Oh yeah, sure, her words, Captain Marigold doubted. Monty sighed. When the hunter had showed up on site, I placed some soldiers in the area to keep watch, in case that man returned. I let the rest return to the capital as the hunter and I began tracking the man, and it's a little unbelievable. What do you mean? Charlotte stopped walking, focusing Monty, who wasn't much younger than she was. Focusing on? Yeah, I'm thinking it was on as well. I must pretext this by saying I only just returned about an hour ago. Myself, the hunter, and this dog, beautiful dog by the way, tracked him for well over 100 miles. Charlotte tilted her head as if to question this alone. His pattern was irregular for quite some time in the wispy woods. He doubled back, ran in circles, and ran out of the northern edge of it. He continued for miles, even through Zaley's cornfield and Turtle Swamp, where things hit a bit of a snag. That would be, it appears he jumped in. He what? Marigold blurted out. Doesn't he know how moronic that is? Apparently not, or maybe he fell, we don't know for sure. We circled it, looking for any exit points, but it appears he left where he went in. All right, so where did this man go next? Back to Zaley's cornfield. What came next is why I'm here now, else I'd still be out there looking for him. The air was silent as William, Charlotte, and Marigold waited. Just say it, Monty, Marigold barked, exhausted from her day, tired of the suspense. I'm going to pause. So because you're looking to be stingy, I would pick one of the two, exhausted from her day or tired of the suspense. So choose one of the two and cut the other just because you're looking to trim, and that's an opportunity. Okay. All hearing, it looked as though the impossible was muttered. Oh, wait, I gotta go back. The dog got poisoned by a tipped catfish on our way to the cornfield. All hearing, it looked as though the impossible was muttered. Wait. Charlotte held up one finger. I think we want a comma there. A tipped catfish was in the middle of a field, hundreds, if not thousands of feet from the swamp, and poisoned the dog. How? I can't say for certain how it ended up there, but the dog got so close it pricked its nose on the barb. The dog practically paralyzed then and there. I'm not even sure where to begin. Continue, Charlotte said. Short story shorter, the dog should recover. I saw the doctor administer an antidote at Owick moments before we noticed the fish covered in blood, and based on how much the dog was sniffing, we believe it belonged to that man. The quantity was rather significant. Did he try to it? Something's off with that one. Seems like something's missing. Yeah, it just feels like something. Did he try to something it? What to it? Did he try to it? Something's missing. I returned to the site shortly after that, and asking citizens if they. I think we want to omit that. All right, let's try it. I returned to the site shortly after that, asking citizens if they had seen a tall man with a lion tattoo on his hand, but no one had seen anything like that. When I returned, the fish was long dead. I examined it. There were no bite marks. To say it doesn't make sense is putting it lightly. No kidding, the princess responded. Did you look to see if there are any bodies nearby? That I did. Unfortunately, I found nothing. Turns out the cornfield was missing some clothing. A farmhand thinks the wind might have taken it. The cornfield's missing clothing. I'm confused. Turns out the cornfield was missing some clothing. Like a scarecrow in it? Maybe? Oh, no, I don't want that. That's not what I want. Hang on. I think maybe the scarecrow in the cornfield was missing some clothing. Okay, the sentence feels like something is missing. Was there a I'm thinking scarecrow. As it reads. Okay, if I could type, that'd be excellent. There we go. Okay. A farmhand thinks the wind might have taken it. The man was naked, so he might have taken them. Possible. Is that the end of it? Charlotte asked, still befuddled by everything she had heard. Unfortunately, no. Oh, you have got to be kidding, Marigold complained, irritated by the story's length. What else did he do? Rob a bank? If only at least then we'd have a description. Apparently, a child saw a monster, he quoted with his fingers, which caused a bit of a stir in town. After questioning guards and the boy, he described the monster as a brown and purple person covered in blood. Charlotte looked on. That sounds like our man. So the man we're looking for is purple. That makes this piss easy, Marigold chimed in. I seriously doubt he's normally purple, Charlotte began. That feels extra. We don't need it. That happens to those poisoned by tipped catfish. The body turns purple as its venom spreads, various shades depending on the severity. Doctors even use it for surgery by numbing the body beforehand after they've weakened it. Too much and it will stop your heart. It tends to work pretty quickly, within 10 to 30 minutes, depending on where the injection point happened and amount. People usually drown not realizing it stung them. Funny thing is that the pond was called Turtle Swamp because it was a habitat for turtles, but their population has shrunk thanks to those fish. They're an invasive species. The fish hunt turtles by puncturing their undersides, then feast on the body once paralyzed. In fact, that's how they hunt, by hiding under the surface until their prey comes close enough that they breach the surface to... Okay, let's see. So we have an echo on surface, just right there. All right, I'm going to stop myself because I'm over my time by like 7 minutes, but it was reading really well, and it's very interesting. And so I wanted to see what happened next. And I was hoping to find myself a good stopping point, and so we're just going to end here where this page, right where this next page begins. So, lots happening. I'm still wondering if what did she read in the book? Was any of it helpful? Could that have been an opportunity for some foreshadowing, perhaps, if you had her have some internal thoughts about what she was reading? So I know she enjoyed it, but I'm kind of wondering what it was, if it was relevant, if it's going to come into play. That might have been a foreshadowing opportunity there. And then I enjoyed the conversation between William, Monty, Marigold, and Charlotte. I'm enjoying that very much, and I'm wondering where this is going. And I'm kind of getting to know, some of the names of the places in their city, the little, like, the swamp and everything, the cornfield. I've got this I kind of visualize like a Hobbit village. I know it's not that, but I kind of get that kind of feel to it. That it has like this magical aspect, and the moon with the piece missing from it kind of hanging over, and that time passed while she was reading. I got a lot out of this read for the story, which is great. And so I'm going to wrap up there, and I will see you guys next time on Mystery Red Reads.